My name is Allison Rogers, and I am the 4 o'clock meteorologist at WLWT.
Let's check in with meteorologist Allison Rogers to break down exactly what we can expect.
I am from a small town in Mississippi called Long Beach, Mississippi. I went to Mississippi State University in Starkville, Mississippi, so I was in the South for the first 22 years of my life. Because of growing up in Mississippi and where my town is specifically, it's on the Gulf Coast, and in 2005, Hurricane Katrina hit my hometown, wiped away so much of what I knew as home. I was 12 at that time, so I was full of questions. I wanted to know why this happened. I wanted to know, could this happen again? I wanted to know how I could help people if more weather like this was moving in. So I decided to become a meteorologist. I'm tracking hour by hour for when the snow moves into your neighborhood. There are a lot of stories that I've worked on that have had a really big impact on me. One of my first stories when I first moved here was talking about the Kentucky mesonet stations. Meteorologists use things like radar, plus instruments like this behind me, a weather station, to analyze what's going on in our atmosphere. The funding for them was potentially going to go away, so I actually went down to a town where unfortunately they had experienced deadly flooding, and using those mesonet sites is crucial for people like the National Weather Service to issue life-saving warnings. And so talking to some of the victims from the flooding then and hearing their story and just being able to share their story.
If we hadn't had any warning, we definitely wouldn't be here.
How important getting the warning out on time was something that's always kind of stuck with me since starting here. I would say my proudest accomplishment is getting a promotion here. When I first started out, I was working weekends, and I really feel like I worked hard, and I ended up getting promoted to doing the 4 o'clock show.
I like it to be a little chilly.
Yeah, it's not so awful outside. Also, the opportunities that have been given to me since being here, from the tornadoes in western Kentucky last year.
Sadly, just complete destruction throughout much of Mayfield, Kentucky.
And then also, of course, I won't ever forget covering the flooding down in eastern Kentucky. I lived there for 2.5 years before moving here.
You can see that power that the water had last week just to completely gut this building here.
I even went to Nashville to cover the tornadoes that went through there back in 2020.
It's been almost a day and a half since those tornadoes ripped throughout Nashville and the surrounding counties, and the destruction here still continues to this day. That cleanup process only in the beginning stages.
Just being able to still report while also being a meteorologist is something that I've always enjoyed doing. Being able to tell those stories is huge. It's so important to make sure people who are found in that situation have their voices heard so that people know how to help them, because otherwise, they're stuck. I feel very supported within the Hearst company. I went to New York a couple months ago and was able to go visit the Hearst Tower, and just being able to see what the company does in New York City and being able to actually see our building, it was incredible. And then I also feel incredibly supported by not just Hearst, but WLWT. Whenever my family was going through a crisis, they swooped in, made sure that we were covered and made sure that we were good, and they helped us out throughout that whole process, and they made something that could have been a really difficult situation very easy for me to handle. I've always just felt incredibly supported by not just the company, but also the station, and I do feel like our station is a family. Whenever the station has gone through a tough thing, we're always there for each other, and I've never seen a station or a workplace come together the way ours has whenever we're faced with tragedy. Cincinnati has given me a lot. I adopted my dog here within the first couple months of me living here. So Cincinnati gave me my dog, and then also Cincinnati gave me my husband. I met my husband here. Those two things right there. And then I also love the community in general. I feel like the whole community is such a supportive and giving community. When we are doing the St. Vincent de Paul coat distribution, we're asking folks to, hey, if you have a coat, make sure you drop it off in these blue barrels across the city. And people show up, and they do. They've been able to give out a record number of coats this year. And then on top of that, we've got the Ruth Lyons Foundation, and people always come out to support us whenever we're doing an event like that too. So I just feel like support all the way around. We got support from Hearst, we've got support from Channel 5, and then the community of Cincinnati is so supportive too.